Let's suppose you've ridden down the Greenway from the Bay Run and you now want to go further south to Brighton-Le-Sands. We're not going to get all the way there today because it started raining and it's hard to get good video quality when your camera lens is covered in water. I turned around just after the Brighton fish shows, and frankly if you can get to the fish shows, you can probably figure out the last bit on your own. Our starting point is Ewen Park, which is currently a construction site, and there's a detour in place until the new bridge is finished later in 2020. The bridge is supposed to look something like this, but at the moment it looks like this. I'm always amazed that in World War II, army engineers managed to throw Bailey bridges across rivers like this in only a few hours, and those bridges were capable of taking 40-ton tanks, and some are still standing today. Okay, the new bridge is going to be a lot fancier than the old one, and certainly nicer to look at than a Bailey bridge, but it does make you wonder. Rather than going through the detour, which hopefully won't exist a month from now, let's assume you've ridden over the new bridge and are now in Lang Road. This is about the only bit of road you need to ride on until we get past the airport, and it's a dead quiet road, and a dead end too. There can be a lot of cars parked here on the weekend. You rarely see it this empty of cars. When we get to the pedestrian crossing, just remember that you are supposed to dismount and push across Wardell Road. With the legalities out of the way, we enter Beeman Park. From here, it is shared path all the way to the next crossing at Illawarra Road. The shared path isn't that wide, and the slabs have sunk a bit in places so the joints can be a bit rough. If there are a lot of people walking on the path, you may have to take to the grass to get around them. Yes, that was a bicycle covered in shellfish. The Illawarra Road crossing is an absolute shocker, easily the worst you'll encounter. There is a blind bend to your right and some drivers come speeding around it way too fast. On the day I filmed this, a cyclist was hit by a car at this crossing, and they weren't the first. The Inner West Council voted in early October to look into upgrading this crossing, but until they get that done, be really careful when crossing here. The ramp on the western side is much steeper than usual and it's very tricky to negotiate, particularly with a sharp turn on or off the path. If you're a bit unsure about it, don't be afraid to get off and push, and just don't hang around on the road. Once across, you get a choice of two paths, one on the southern side and another on the north. I always go north because I think that path is in much better condition. I did ride a short way down the southern path just to test it, and I'll put that at the end so you can see what it's like. Unless you want to visit Gough Whitlam Park, I don't recommend it. As you come off the bridge, bear right. There is a big playground just around the corner, so this is a slow area. There are low speed bumps on the path to remind you of that. Take it easy because you'll find kids running or riding around here when the weather is nice. From here it is a straightforward run to Mackay Park. Mackay? I guess it's Mackay. Oh look, there's one of those Bailey bridges I was talking about. Ugly but functional. Just before Mackay Park there is a bridge over a drain. Go over the bridge and keep going straight. The Cooks River should still be on your right. This is a favourite spot for canoeing and fishing, so just watch out for people wandering around the path with fishing rods or walking across the path carrying canoes. You'll know you're on the right track if you pass this mural. Hang a left just past the mural and that is Richardson Crescent in front of you, as well as Tempe Railway Station. Look at the convenient location of this push button. That's the last conveniently placed button you'll see. Turn right into the station car park. It's probably better to follow the arrows when it's busy. Oops, at the far end you'll find this hidden path. Watch it down the end because it's another blind bend. That convex mirror is there for a reason. It's a good idea to ring your bell on approach. This section used to flood at every high tide, and that explains the high concrete walls. And duck, it's a low ceiling. Follow the green path up to the Prince's Highway. The trick here is to hang a hard right as soon as you cross the road. Once again, it's a very narrow path and the overhanging shrubbery doesn't help. The path widens as we approach the next bridge, and once over that we're in Cahill Park. When these paths were upgraded, where it splits, the path on the right was originally a bike-only path and the one on the left was exclusively for pedestrians. Every time I rode through here, there were pedestrians on the bike path. I guess the council just gave up and now they have both combined paths. Directing pedestrians where to go is like herding cats. We pop out to cross Rockwell Avenue. Parking is always in high demand around here and your sight lines to the right are often blocked, so be careful when you pop out. Have a good look to the right. path narrows as we go around the corner onto Marsh Street, and you can see that I rode on the pedestrian side of the path for most of this stretch. Oops. It's easy to get confused when the paths cross over all the time. Remember what I said about badly placed push buttons? Well, here's one. I had to wait about 2 minutes for a green light. The next crossing at Flora Street is just as bad, another 2-minute wait. Watch out for the driveways along here. Apart from the driveways, residents sometimes park their cars part way across the path. Now this is important. Don't turn left at these lights. Keep going straight ahead. It's a stupidly narrow path, but it can take 5 minutes to get across at these lights. Turn left and go under this bridge, watching out for the bollards. And for heaven's sake, don't accidentally ride into the drain on the other side of that railing. There's a buried pipe of some sort to our right. Midway up it, we go up and over, again watching out for the bollards. We then do a U-turn under the next bridge. We ride along here until we pop out at Eve Street. Now at Eve Street, turn sharply left just past this gate. There is a path running up the side of Eve Street, and whilst you can ride on the street or the path is preferable. Now I stopped here and acted as a signpost for this group who had never ridden this way before, just to make sure they knew where to go. This is a deceptively steep little hill. Be prepared to use low gear to get up it. Once over it, we have the Coggera Golf Club on our left. Watch it going down this hill as it's a blind bend with bollards at the bottom. This road doesn't have a name, it's just a strip of bitumen, and it joins up to a bridge that goes onto the airport. There's a depot of some sort at the end. Now avoid going in there and take the path on the right. The trees here are a sea of yellow at the start of spring. Don't know what does to your hay fever though. We now have Muddy Creek on our left behind those trees. If you've brought your fishing gear, this is a popular spot to throw in a line. Just remember you're riding through a car park, so expect to see the odd car. At the end of the car park, get onto the path and turn left. Once onto the bridge, we have Brighton Fishers on our left. Now this went bust and closed in 2012, so don't expect to stop for coffee, and the council now wants to demolish it, so get down here to see this architectural masterpiece while you still can. Hang a left into this reserve. I do recommend stopping and having a look at this community garden. It's the best I've seen. Just don't steal anything. Speaking of gardening, the next thing you'll see is this big area of market gardens. I presume a lot of our herbs come from here. Once past the herb gardens, you should see the tail fins of aircraft in front of you. It's about here that it started to rain, so I topped up my water bottle and turned around. From here it's pretty much a matter of just finding your way onto the next bridge, going up along the beach, and then essentially just riding south with the beach on your left. You'll eventually get to a cafe, which is, it's okay. At that point you could keep going if you like, but the path narrows quite a lot and it's all brick, and it's brick paving and it's pretty rough, and I usually don't go far past that if I can. Especially if it's busy, you just can't move, it's just terrible. Anyway, let's go back and have a look at the Illawarra Road Bridge, and what I did is, instead of going on the northern side, I went on the southern side, and I didn't go very far because the problem is, well, you can see these trees, the roots have grown out across the path in places, and it narrows and it's covered in muck and it's just not as nice. So, I went down a couple hundred metres and thought, it's not worth it. The other side's just much better. One day I might push on further and see what's down there, but not today. If you're wondering how to get to the Cooks River via the Greenway, we have some more videos in this series that explain how to do just that. If you're interested in doing a ride with Baybug, there's a link in the description to our rides page.